Hi friends, welcome. Today we're going to see an amazing movie called The Day the Earth Stood Still. The story begins in the year 1928 at the snow-covered mountains of India. A mountaineer while he is preparing his tent, but he suddenly sees a bright light shining through the peaks. Curious, he decides to see what it is. As he gets closer, he finds a small glowing planet covered in a thin layer of ice. With curiosity, he breaks the ice with his axe. Instantly, he is surrounded by a blinding light and loses consciousness. When he wakes up, the glowing planet has disappeared, and he finds a strange round mark on his hand. It seems that something took skin for his DNA. Now the scene shifts to the present day. They introduce his astrobiologist, Dr. Helen Benson, who is expert in the study about microbes beyond Earth and whether our planet microbes can live in other planets. And she is giving a lecture in a lab about extraterrestrial bacteria. After class, she has to go home to deal with her stepson Jacob. At home, Jacob refuses to eat healthy food and spends most of his time playing video games. While Helen convincing him to take the food, she receives a phone call in that someone tells her that a car is coming to pick her up shortly. Soon after, a group of police officers arrives at her house. One of the officers tells Helen the FBI needs her help. Without giving much detail, he asks her to come with them. But Helen hesitates that she has to take care of Jacob, but officer tells her that it was an order from government. She quickly arranges for a neighbor to watch Jacob and leaves in the car, feeling very confused. On the way, Helen keeps asking why she has been going to FBI, but the officers don't know anything either, but he tells Helen to see the road. After seeing that, she's being escorted by dozens of police vehicles and no other vehicles on the road. They blocked the whole highway to take her, and now Helen understands the seriousness of the situation. Eventually, they arrive at an airfield. Helen boards a military plane, along with several other civilians who are just as confused as she is. It turns out these people are all experts from different fields: a nuclear physicist, an astronomer, a civil engineer, and others. They are taken to the military academy in New Jersey. At the entrance, the military asks everyone to hand over their phones. Helen secretly hides hers under her clothes. Meanwhile, Michael calls her up. He's also a scientist, an old friend of Helen. Inside, Dr. Michael Grainer, who finally explains the situation all. An unidentified object from space is arriving towards Earth on an unusual path. According to the scientist's calculations, it will exactly crash into Manhattan. One of the scientists asks, why can't we launch a missile to attack? But Michael explains that the object is moving so fast that they can't shoot it down with missiles. Because of this, the government has formed an emergency team to handle the crisis. While one woman asks, why can't we evacuate the whole people from Manhattan? But Michael says that it is impossible, that they have just 1 hour for the object to hit Manhattan and could potentially kill 8 million people. After the meeting, Helen sneaks into a bathroom to call Jacob and warn him. She doesn't know how to tell him the truth, so she simply asks him to hide in the basement and stay safe. Her call is overheard by a female soldier who knocks on the bathroom stall door. But instead of getting angry, the soldier quietly asks the phone to call her own loved ones too. Soon, the team of scientists flew to the site the object is expecting to crash. Tension is high. They don't know what the object is, and their weapons seem useless against it. Nervously, they hold hands and count down the final seconds. But surprisingly, nothing happened to them. From the helicopter window, the team sees a bright, huge, glowing planet-shaped spaceship reduce the speed and slowly descending from the sky. It lights up the streets of city as it approaches and finally lands, and the team wearing protective suits, the scientists carefully approach the spaceship. As they get closer, their equipment feels the strong electromagnetic waves. Meanwhile, the military, police, and snipers surround the area, ready for any threat. Suddenly, a brilliant light flashes, and an alien figure steps out of the spaceship. Helen, almost as if in a trance, walks toward the alien. Alien reaches out his hand, and she begins to do the same. But just as their hands are about to meet, someone fires a shot. The alien collapses into Helen's arms. Out of the light, a massive creature appears. It disables all machinery with a loud, high-pitched sound that stuns everyone around. Just as the creature is about to reach for the wounded alien, the alien raises his hand, signaling it to stop. Instantly, the creature freezes and shuts down. All the damaged, Earth-based equipment starts working again. The wounded alien is quickly taken to a military laboratory. The medical team is unsure how to treat him since they know nothing about his biology. As the alien's condition worsens, Helen suggests bringing in a human surgeon to remove the bullet. During surgery, the outer gray layer of the alien's body, which looks like stringy tissue, begins to peel away. Underneath, the doctors discover that the alien looks just like a regular human being. After surgery, he is placed in a protective capsule where doctors monitor his stability. His body stabilizes, and he eventually wakes up. At first, he's scared, but when he sees Helen, he calms down. Helen assures him that you are safe. Now fully healed, the alien has taken on the complete form of a human, and he looks exactly like the mountaineer from 1928. He repeats Helen's words as if he's trying to learn how to speak. He's clearly still adjusting to his new body according to the surrounding temperature. After the incident in Manhattan, panic spreads across the world. Stock markets close, and cities prepare for emergency evacuations. People flee major urban areas, fearing a full-scale alien invasion. While the president and vice president hide in a secure shelter, U.S. Secretary of Defense Regina Jackson takes charge. During their meeting, Regina informs that the aliens have hacked into U.S. spy satellite, and now the aliens have full access to secret military data. Even more alarming, similar glowing spaceships have landed in other parts of the world. These aren't normal events. Something big is happening. At the lab, Regina listens as the scientists explain their findings. Tissue samples from the alien reveal DNA from 3 different life forms. His inner body is human, but his outer gray shell is organic and functions like a protective layer. Dr. Helen suggests that the aliens must have arrived Earth before and collected human DNA. That's likely how this alien was able to take on a human form. Later, the team visits the alien in his room. Now speaking in complete sentences, he asks for water. With a shaky hand, he drinks and comments that it will take time to get used to his new body. The scientist quietly sees him, unsure how to talk to him. Regina Jackson steps forward and questions him about his intentions. He doesn't respond. Then Helen gently asks for his name and background. The alien finally introduces himself as Cato. He says he is a representative of a group of aliens. Cato requests a meeting at the United Nations to deliver an important message. However, Regina refuses his request. Instead, after their conversation, she orders that Cato be injected with truth serum and moved to a more secure location for further interrogation. The scientists believe that Cato may be the most important discovery in human history. They don't want to hand him over to the Secret Service. However, Secretary of Defense Regina Jackson insists that Cato could be a serious threat to humanity. She wants to extract as much information as possible about his purpose on Earth. Dr. Michael argues with Regina, but their conversation is interrupted by Helen, who says she'll personally handle Cato's injection and testing. An FBI officer gives her a vial of truth serum, but Helen secretly takes a vial of regular saline instead. Regina tells Cato that they will take him to a more secure location. Cato disagrees and calmly says that he plans to leave the military base. Regina refuses to let him go, saying he entered Earth illegally and that his large robot attacked the military. Cato explains that the robot only activates in response to violence. Despite this, Regina orders Helen to proceed with the injection. As Helen gives him a shot, she quietly whispers to Cato that he must run. Right after the injection, Helen is taken away by the military. Cato is strapped to a chair and placed in a room with a lie detector. An officer begins asking him basic questions and monitors the machine. But Cato suddenly hacks the lie detector and passes the current to the officer. He takes control of the officer's mind and learns how to escape the base. After gathering all the information he needs, Cato puts on the officer's uniform and uses his power over Earth's electronics to find the guards. He disables them all using ultrasound. While alarms go off in the base, Cato quietly escapes. During the chaos, Helen steals a sample of the alien's skin. Once Regina finds out Kato has escaped, she orders that all available resources be used to find and capture him. Meanwhile, Kato arrives at a busy train station, where chaos has broken out due to canceled trains. Because he is now partly human, Kato feels hunger for the first time. Using his powers, he gets a sandwich from a vending machine without paying. As he watches the people in the station, he's struck by how aggressive they are with each other. Suddenly, he begins to feel sick and hides in a bathroom. He notices red liquid, blood, leaking from his bullet wound. Weakened by the limitations of the human body, he faints. Back at Helen's home, the phone rings. A stranger tells her that her patient is at the train station. Realizing he means Kato, Helen rushes to find him. She brings him to her car, where he meets Jacob, who is not happy. Kato asks Helen for a piece of the gray outer tissue that was removed from his body. He applies it to his wound, and it heals instantly. At the same time, U.S. military forces try to attack the biorobot, but as soon as it senses danger, the robot activates. It takes control of all the military machines and destroys them effortlessly. All attempts to stop it fail, and military leaders are confused and left helpless. Helen follows Kato as he guides her out of the city. Jacob sees many cars stuck in traffic. People are trying to escape. He doesn't trust the aliens and says they should be destroyed. He believes that if his father were alive, he would have fought them. They finally reach their destination. While Jacob goes to the restroom, Kato talks to Helen about her family. She tells him Jacob's father was a military engineer and his mother died when Jacob was born. Helen married Jacob's father, and after he died, she raised Jacob on her own. They stop at a fast food cafe, where Kato meets an old man named Mr. Wu. He is also an alien who came to Earth long ago to learn about humans. Kato warns Mr. Wu about the mission and tells him to leave Earth. But Mr. Wu refuses. He has lived among humans for years and grown to love them. He has a family and says he wants to stay with them, even if the world ends. At the same time, the military puts up strong walls around the alien robot, which has stopped working. A special emergency phone line gets hundreds of calls from people who have seen Kato. The government now says Kato is dangerous and a criminal. Back on the road, Helen, Kato, and Jacob are driving to New Jersey. Suddenly, Kato tells Helen to stop the car. Helen, confused by his behavior, tells Jacob to stay in the car and follows Kato. Suddenly, glowing insects appear and lead Helen to a lake. Kato is standing there. She hides and watches as a glowing spaceship rises from the water. At that moment, Kato sends a signal, and alien ships all over the world start to activate. Helen is shocked. She goes back to the car. Kato returns and tells Helen they need to go back to the city. Helen refuses and demands to know the truth. Kato tells her humans are destroying the planet. There are very few planets in the universe that can support life. His mission is to save Earth by removing humans. If people are gone, the planet will heal. Helen requests him to stop. She believes humans can change and should be given another chance. But Kato disagrees. He says his people have been watching for years, hoping humans would improve, but they never considered. Now it's too late. The cleaning process has already started and can't be stopped. Just then, a police officer finds them. He points a gun at Kato and tells him to surrender. Jacob is scared and asks Kato not to hurt the officer. Kato sends energy through Helen's car. The officer falls down, but Kato brings him back to life using the same energy. He explains he didn't want to kill him. Kato says that he attacked to stop him for a moment. Helen now understands Kato still has the power to stop the destruction. She says she wants to take him to someone who can show him the good side of humanity. Meanwhile, the government starts to understand the true purpose of the glowing spaceships. Scientists find out that each spaceship is carrying animals, plants, and other life away from Earth. Like Noah's Arkansas Secretary Regina realizes it's a rescue plan to save life before Earth is destroyed. The military feels an attack is coming, so they hide the giant alien robot deep underground in a safe bunker. Helen takes Kato to meet a brilliant scientist who once won the Nobel Prize. While they're talking, Kato sees a math problem on the chalkboard and starts correcting it. The scientist joins him, and together they solve the problem. The scientist is amazed by Kato's intelligence and quickly realizes Kato is not human. They begin to talk. The scientist asks how Kato's people survived their own crisis. Kato explains that their son was dying, so they had to evolve to stay alive. The scientist tells Kato that humans can also change, especially when they are close to extinction. Kato seems touched by this and starts to question his mission. But before they can talk more, Air Force helicopters arrive. Kato, Helen, and Jacob run into the forest. As they leave, the scientist tells Helen, "Don't try to change his mind with words. Show him through actions." While they're hiding in the woods, Jacob steps into an open area and waves at the helicopters. He yells to get their attention. Then, crying, he admits to Helen that he was the one who called the military because he thought that's what his father would have done. Helen tells Jacob, with love and sadness, that his father is gone. Jacob breaks down in tears. Suddenly, soldiers grab Helen and take her into a helicopter that flies away. The other helicopters spot Kato and get ready to attack. Kato uses his powers to stop the pilots. The helicopters crash into each other. Jacob runs into the forest, afraid that Kato might hurt him. But Kato finds him just in time and saves him from falling into a river. Calmly and kindly, Kato asks Jacob to trust him and come with him. Meanwhile, Helen is taken to the government base. She requests the Secretary of Defense to let her go, saying she's the only one who can reach Kato and stop the destruction. At the same time, special forces are doing risky tests on a giant alien robot. They try to drill into it with a diamond-tipped tool, but the drill breaks off inside. From the crack, tiny metal bugs start coming out and multiplies into several nanobots. The robot breaks apart and turns into millions of tiny nanorobots. These bugs eat everything, machines, buildings, even people, turning them to dust. The military fires missiles at them, but the explosions transforms the nanorobots, grow bigger and more powerful. The nanorobot flies like a cloud, escapes the base and spreads fast, destroying everything in its path. Seeing that weapons are useless, Secretary Regina finally allows Helen to talk to Kato with no other choice. She also calls Helen's friend, Dr. Michael Grainer, for help. Kato takes Jacob to a cabin in the woods, where the boy is allowed to call Helen. He tells her where they are and asks her to come get him. During the journey, Jacob tells Kato that he no longer wants to destroy him and begins to see him differently. They visit a cemetery, where Jacob's father is buried. The boy tearfully asks Kato to bring his father back to life, like he did with the police officer. But Kato sadly explains that his powers don't work on the dead. Frustrated, Jacob tells him to leave. Just then, Helen arrives and reunites with Jacob, calming him down. Kato watches this emotional moment, and it finally convinces him that humans are capable of love, compassion, and change. He realizes that humanity does deserve a second chance, but they must change their ways to survive. At the same time, the swarm of nanorobots is rapidly approaching New York City. It devours a huge stadium in seconds. Despite Regina's plea to the president to try a peaceful solution, the president orders military force once again. Helen, Jacob, Kato, and Dr. Michael race to where Kato landed, which is the last alien spaceship. They break through the roadblocks, and surprisingly, the soldiers let them pass. The place is now empty. Everyone has been evacuated. But just as they reach the spaceship, the Air Force opens fire, following orders to destroy it. Dr. Michael is killed in the attack, and the others are left surrounded by the approaching nanobot cloud. Kato tells Helen and Jacob that they must reach the spaceship, but the nanobot gets there first. Kato hides them under a bridge, but it's too late. The nanobots have already entered Helen and Jacob's bodies, beginning to consume them from the inside. Jacob begins to bleed from his nose and loses consciousness. Helen requests Kato to save the boy. Kato removes the nanobots from their bodies, sends them into his own. He sacrifices himself to save them. He then tells Helen that the old scientist was right. Humans are capable of change, but only when pushed to the edge. With one last look at Helen and Jacob, Kato walks into the center of the nanobot swarm and reaches the alien sphere. He touches it, sending out a massive pulse of energy that instantly destroys the entire swarm. But there's a price. Along with the nanobots, all human technology on Earth shuts down. Power grids fail, machines go dark, and life as we know it comes to a standstill. Earth is plunged into silence. Cato considers this a fair price for the damage humanity has done to the planet. As the glowing spaceship rises into the sky, Cato leaves Earth by giving humanity one last chance to change and survive. And that's the end of the story. Hope you all enjoyed. Thanks for watching.